Have you ever finished reading a book and felt like you weren't the same person who started it? Like something fundamental about your understanding of existence had been altered. The novels that feel like a punch to the soul often contain the most profound truths about human existence. That's exactly what we're exploring today. We will diving into 7 philosophical masterpieces that will hurt your heart. Many people avoid them precisely because of how deeply they cut. But what if that pain is exactly what makes them worth reading? Let's start with Fernando Pessoa's The Book of Disquiet. Never actually finished during Pessoa's lifetime, this fragmented masterpiece is less a novel and more a collection of thoughts from Bernardo Soares, one of Pessoa's many literary alter egos. What makes this book so devastating is its brutal honesty about the human condition, particularly loneliness. Imagine spending your entire life observing others from behind glass, never truly connecting. That's the reality Pessoa creates. The narrator is a bookkeeper who lives a painfully ordinary life in Lisbon, watching the world go by from his window, writing thoughts that nobody will read during his lifetime. One passage reads, "I've never done anything but dream. This, and this alone, has been the meaning of my life. My only real concern has been my inner life." The book presents consciousness itself as a kind of prison. We're all trapped in our own minds, forever separate from one another. What's particularly soul-crushing about The Book of Disquiet is that it doesn't offer any solution to this isolation. There's no character development, no plot resolution, just the endless, beautiful articulation of what it feels like to be permanently disconnected from the world while simultaneously observing it with excruciating sensitivity. Moving on to The Tunnel by Ernesto Sabato. If The Book of Disquiet is about isolation, The Tunnel is about obsession. It opens with the narrator, Juan Pablo Castel, declaring, "I should make one thing clear. I killed Maria Iribarne." From this shocking confession, we spiral into the mind of a man whose desperate need for total understanding and control over another human being leads to tragedy. Castel is a painter who becomes fixated on Maria after she notices a tiny detail in one of his paintings that nobody else saw. He believes this means she truly understands him, but as their relationship develops, he's tormented by jealousy and paranoia, convinced she's betraying him. What makes The Tunnel so devastating is that it forces us to confront the terrifying possibility that true connection with another person is impossible. Castel's obsession represents our own desperate desire to be fully understood, and the violence that can erupt when we realize that complete understanding might be an illusion. Our third novel, Michel Houellebecq's The Elementary Particles, is perhaps the coldest on our list. Set in the late 20th century, it follows 2 half-brothers, Bruno, consumed by unfulfilled sexual desire, and Michel, a brilliant scientist, emotionally disconnected from humanity. What makes this novel such a brutal read is Houellebecq's clinical dissection of modern Western society. He portrays a world where traditional values have collapsed, leaving only consumer culture and sexual competition. There's no redemption here, just a devastating critique of what happens when society abandons all values except individualism and pleasure. One character observes, "It's a curious idea to reproduce when you don't even like life." This nihilistic perspective permeates the entire novel. Houellebecq suggests that the sexual revolution, rather than liberating us, has created new forms of misery by reducing human relationships to market transactions. The most disturbing aspect of The Elementary Particles isn't its explicit content, but its emotional barrenness. Houellebecq creates characters who've lost all capacity for love, joy, or meaning. The novel presents a world where science can explain everything except how to make life worth living. Our fourth philosophical gut punch is Antonio Di Benedetto's Zama. Set in the late 18th century, it follows Don Diego de Zama, a Spanish colonial officer stationed in Paraguay, waiting endlessly for a transfer that never seems to come. What makes Zama so painful is its portrayal of wasted life. The novel unfolds over years as Zama's hopes gradually disintegrate. He's trapped not just by his circumstances, but by his own pride and colonial mindset. His life becomes an endless waiting room, a purgatory created partly by external forces, but also by his own inability to truly connect with the world around him. Di Benedito's prose creates an atmosphere of stifling heat and inertia. Time stretches endlessly as Zama's life slips away. It's a haunting meditation on colonialism, identity, and the human tendency to postpone living until conditions are perfect. A perfect storm of existential dread. Next, we have Elias Canetti's Auto da Fe, possibly the most disturbing novel on our list. It centers on Peter Kien, a reclusive scholar who lives surrounded by his 25,000 books, his only companions. When he marries his housekeeper, in a momentary lapse of judgment, his carefully ordered world begins to collapse. What makes this novel so devastating is watching Kien's intellectual arrogance crumble as he's confronted with the messy reality of human existence. His massive library, symbolizing his attempt to contain and control knowledge, becomes the setting for his descent into madness. Canetti creates a suffocating atmosphere where every character is grotesque in their own way, driven by avarice, lust, or delusion. There's something profoundly uncomfortable about how the novel portrays intelligence, divorced from wisdom or compassion. Kien's brilliant mind can't save him from his fundamental inability to understand other people or himself. The sixth novel on our list is Thomas Bernhard's The Loser. It follows three talented pianists whose lives are forever altered when they encounter the genius of Glenn Gould. Two of them, the narrator and the eponymous loser, Wertheimer, abandon their musical careers, crushed by the realization they'll never achieve Gould's level of brilliance. What makes The Loser so painful is its unflinching examination of how comparison destroys joy. Bernhard's relentless prose, written without paragraph breaks, mirroring the obsessive thoughts of his characters, creates a claustrophobic experience. We witness Wertheimer's slow spiral into self-destruction, unable to find meaning in being merely excellent when perfection exists elsewhere. The novel poses an uncomfortable question. Is it better to never experience greatness if that experience will poison everything else in your life? Bernhard suggests that some forms of knowledge, like knowing exactly where you stand in the hierarchy of talent, can be destructive rather than enlightening. Finally, we have Hermann Hesse's Steppenwolf, perhaps the most widely read book on our list. It follows Harry Haller, a middle-aged intellectual alienated from society, who believes his personality is divided between human and wolf. What makes Steppenwolf so impactful is its exploration of fragmented identity. Harry initially sees himself as split between just two selves, but gradually realizes he contains countless personalities. This realization is both liberating and terrifying. If there's no stable self, what does it mean to live authentically? Unlike most books on this list, Steppenwolf offers something resembling hope. Through surreal experiences in the Magic Theater, Harry begins to reconcile with the multiplicity within himself. But this hope comes only after a brutal dismantling of everything he thought he knew about himself. So why read these soul-crushing books? What value is there in subjecting ourselves to such philosophical anguish? Perhaps it's because these novels do something essential. They strip away comforting illusions and force us to confront uncomfortable truths. They ask questions most people spend their lives avoiding. What if connection is impossible? What if we're wasting our lives? What if our identities are just elaborate fictions? These books hurt because they matter. They're not entertainment, they're confrontations. Each author has stared into the abyss of human existence and returned with something profound, if not comforting. In a world increasingly dominated by algorithm-friendly content designed to make us feel good, these difficult philosophical novels offer something rare, an encounter with thoughts that don't fit neatly into our comfortable worldviews. So which of these philosophical gut punches should you read first? Whatever you choose, prepare yourself. These books won't just be read, they'll be experienced. They might break your heart, challenge your most cherished beliefs, or leave you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. questioning everything. But isn't that exactly what the best philosophy does? If you've read any of these philosophical novels, let me know in the comments which one hit you hardest. And if you haven't, which one are you brave enough to try first? Remember, sometimes the books that hurt us most are also the ones that heal us in ways we never expected. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning. Thanks for watching.